What's up, everybody? It's me, Brian the Gamer Guy. And today I am excited to give you my thoughts and opinions about the Dragon Quest VII Reimagined demo that just landed last week. Now, I'll be honest, I'm probably just like almost everybody else. Everybody has a pretty high opinion of it. Like you do get into the things of like, well, the original did this and they did this, but overall the opinion's still high. It's more of pros and cons kinds of things, but the overall thing is high. So I'll talk about that later, but let's get started and let's start with the graphics first. The visual style that they have chosen to use is fantastic. A lot like Fantasian did. They took that idea with the dioramas and stuff and the making the actual real dolls, the toy dolls and stuff, and it works. If you look at the character models, they use like real items like cloth and things like that to make the character models, and the character models have so much charm to them and they have so much detail. Every stitch of clothing and stuff, it's just so detailed. It's amazing to see your main character and Kiefer and Maribel in all their glory. And same thing with models. The monster models look fantastic. You have Toriyama's art style and just made to life with this 3D look that they've gone with. In combat, good animations from the monsters, good animations from the characters. When you're on the world map, when the towns and stuff, the running animations look good and smooth. Even zoomed out the way they are, they still look good. And that's just amazing. Now, you look at the dungeons and things like that. Well, they look good for what they are because let's be honest, it's Dragon Quest. You have your like three or four types of dungeons: your cave, your castle, your shrine, and you kind of repeat those types, your mine. And so there's a simplicity to those dungeons for sure, but they make it look good and it still looks good for what they are, the dank dark caves that they are. Towers, I forgot about towers. All those look good. And then when you go into the towns, they keep the town style very uniform in a lot of ways, so you don't have crazy styles. Very simple architecture, but what's always good about Dragon Quest, and especially the newer ones, you look in there, you see detail in the house. Every bed and the pots and the tables and the bookshelves. There's just detail in there. Dragon Quest XI with it fully 3D had probably some of the best detail, but that attention to detail in the towns and in the housing and stuff has always been superb, in my opinion. Excuse me. Okay, so graphically, it looks good in my opinion. I like the style. Do I like the HD 2D style some? Yes, I do, but that's a different style. And I can respect that for what it is. I can respect this style for what this is. Okay. Now let's kind of move on to some practicality and things. The menus. Like, you don't just pull up the old school Dragon Quest menus anymore and be like, okay, here's the item section, here's the equip section, they have like redone the menus. You pull up your first menu and it gives you all your characters and their stats. And right from the bottom, you can just start equipping their equipment. There's equipment just right on the bottom, right there. And it pulls up the whole inventory. Which, they started doing that in Dragon Quest 11 for sure, but they repeat that, but it's smoother. And then you hit your L button and your R button. It tabs between different things. Here's your spells, and if you go to this one, here's this. Okay, so just very streamlined menus that pop up. They're quick, and you're on the go. Now the items tab has undergone something very different for the series too. You now pull items from your inventory versus having to put items on each individual character. So I think that's going to really change balancing and things because a lot of the old balancing was assumed that you could only carry about like a max of like 10 healing items or something on each character. So there was potential to run out, and now when you can have this huge pool of inventory and stuff, and you don't have to worry about strategically putting them on the character, it probably will change the balancing of how they do with the monsters and things. But anyways, menus are smooth, buttery smooth. Um, when you're walking in towns, it's zoomed out, making it easier to explore and yet still not sacrificing the detail and things. It just seems to be the perfect zoom out for me. And also, this goes kind of back to graphics and things like this. Excuse me again. But graphically, I mean, not graphically, but performance wise, when you swap between menus, it's quick, it's seamless, it just poofs in there. When you go into combat, quick and seamless. When you run and you pick up a pot, he picks up the pot quickly and seamlessly. So fast transitions between menus, fast throwing the pots down, so it's not just this laborious like pick a pot, take a second, throw, shatter. It's like boom, boom, shatter, throw, gone, pot, gone. Very quick and seamless animations and transitions, which make it feel smooth and make it feel like it flows. Um, all of that flows very well. I like it a lot. So now we have the music, and the music's good. It's the original soundtracks. Kind of they sound a little bit more orchestral to me. I don't know for sure. I'm not an expert. And I didn't research it. So if you like the music of Dragon Quest, it's here still. And it's enhanced, so it's there in the background. The music's great. Love the music. All right, and let's talk about combat. Now, combat has been altered, not a lot, but it's altered in ways. First of all, you still have your tactics, and the tactics have gotten better over the years, where they will pretty much do some cool things on the right tactics, and you don't have to control them if you don't want to. So combat's gotten faster because of tactics, for one thing. Um, but for those of you that like to manual control everybody, if you want to, you can set it on the memorize command, and it'll keep your cursor where it was. It'll take it right to this last spell you use, so you can easily just spam your attacks to get on easier battles. So they've done things with tactics and things like that to make battles go a little bit faster. Um, in settings, you can also do the animation speeds and those kinds of things. So battle speed is upped. Now, battle difficulty can be adjusted, which was not a thing in the normal. I don't know about the 3DS version. Never played the 3DS version, so I'm only going on my experience from the normal. But now you can adjust the battle difficulty, and they give you even more options. It's not just Draki, Dragon, and Draconian anymore. No. You can do that, and it'll set you on one of the three automatically, or you can adjust individual sliders. If you want harder monsters, you can adjust harder monsters. But if you want harder monsters, but you don't want them, you don't want to hit them less. You want to hit them like you normally would, you can keep the slider on hit them normal, or you can move the slider to less damage. Do you want to really torture yourself and have less experience? You can set it on less experience, or you can keep it to more experience or normal experience. So you have options for combat and much adjustable sliders, so you can set your combat experience the way you want it. Now, for me, I did start trying it on the harder difficulty. I had my monster strength set to max, and I had to hard, and I had my damage set to less, but I kept the experience and the gold on normal. I will say that it is pretty rough at the lower levels at those difficulties. Like, I actually turned it back to normal for the purpose of the demo, because I'm figuring I'm playing Octopath Traveler. That's my goal. I even set it on my goals list, like I said, before I get to Dragon Quest Octopath Traveler. So I'm only here to try the demo so I can record this video ultimately. So then was not the time to do the difficulties. Like, that'll be when I actually play it all the way through. But yes, I can say that it definitely makes a difference. It was much harder in Draconian Quest for sure, or hard difficulty. Normal got a lot easier. I could breeze through it, but there was still enough there that you're challenged enough on normal. Combat required use of spells, use of skills. Even on normal, it just required it. So, um, now let's kind of get back into one more thing. Also, in convenience matters and stuff, you can turn quest markers. You have quest markers, so the tablets are no longer as hard to find. Because now they're marked on your map clearly with quest markers. The story beats are marked clearly with quest markers. So, if you're definitely one of those people that you don't want to have to look for everything like that, talk to everybody, well, then you have that option of keeping those quest markers on. So that's a great feature too, at least for me. I mean, I can be old school and turn them off because I've played old school games, but I'm okay with the convenience. I like it. Okay, so now for this last part, we're going to kind of compare old school versus new school. And you'll have to excuse me, I'm going from my memory, and it's been like what, 25 years at this point. So it's been 20. It's kiddo popping in the background there. So it's been 25 years at this point, so I'm going from basic memory. Um, but I have a pretty good enough memory of some of this. Okay, so first and foremost, they work quicker to get you to the shrine and to get you into the past and to get you to your first battle. It goes a lot quicker. They've taken out a lot of the guesswork. They've taken out a lot of the steps. So there's a lot less to go back here, go back to the town, go back here, go back to the town, go back to the castle, do this. Now go here, now do this. They've taken a lot of that out. Now, I've heard some people say that it's worse that way. They would rather have the ability to talk to everybody and feel connected to the community and stuff, and that feels rushed. And I've had people say, that's they like that better. Hit or miss on that. Like I'm in the middle on that too. I mean, it's to me, I kind of probably overall like it better. So yes, you will get into the shrine and all that much quicker. Now, what they do differently too is they've actually kind of ripped out the shrine dungeon altogether. Like you do the three trials before you do the trials before you get to the shrine. If I remember right, there's not even as many of them. There's only like three. You do them before you get to the shrine ever, and they're a lot easier in some respects. The puzzle aspect is just a bit easier, so you get through them quicker. And so when you get to the shrine in the original, it was this big dungeon with no combat and just all these puzzles, and it takes time to do that. Well, no, now you do the three trials beforehand, and then you go into the shrine. And then the shrine is basically just go up to the tablets and talk to the curator, and then slap those tablets in. Now, one thing I do like about this is all the tablets are in one room versus having to go to 10 different rooms for each tablet thingy. And they also take out the flip puzzle where you had to flip them to the right angles and things and then put them in. Like, it puts them in automatically for you if you have the pieces. So maybe you like that, maybe you don't like that. That's what it does. It's definitely there to streamline everything and convenience everything for sure. I didn't like the fact that they ripped out all the puzzles in that dungeon. Like I kind of liked the challenge of the flame puzzle, and the picture puzzle was harder, and then you had the puzzle where you had to get all the pieces of the armor and stuff and put them in the right place on the statues divided by the riddles. I liked all the puzzle aspects, and I found that to be rewarding to get through that. So give or take, that's what they do though. Now once you get into the past, everything there seems relatively paced the same. The story seems the same there. The dungeons seem the same, from what I can remember. So that's all the same. It's mostly getting you to there. They really streamline and push that further. So overall, I think it's going to be a good experience. I think the game's going to be great. I think those additions to the story are going to be great. They'll probably take out some of the bloat. It'll probably be okay, especially if they're adding like epilogue story and things like that. I think it'll balance itself out. Now, what I like about it is, look, I have this version of Dragon Quest to play, a newer, more streamlined version, or I have the older one on the PlayStation I can go play. There's two ways to play it now. It's a good thing. Anyways, this has been my thoughts and opinions on the Dragon Quest VII Reimagined demo. Hey, if anybody ever watches, let me know what you think in the comments yourself if you've tried it. All right, everybody. This has been a great video to make. Thank you all for watching, and well, I'll see you for more videos.